wanted to come on here today, make a quick video, and just try and connect with you guys here a little bit and see, or mostly see how you guys feedback with it. But more so, I wanted to kind of explain my reasoning and just talk a little bit about the car. Everyone's thinking, why would you take a 1.8 liter Hemi engine out of your car to put a 1.6 liter 4AG? And there's a lot of different reasons why I did it. I guess we'll go with that. Basically, the 3TC is a great engine. It's been proven, it's been done time and time again, much like the 4AG, but it has its limitations, and let's face it, it's kind of a dinosaur. Great engines, they last forever, you can beat on them, and you know, they're great engines. 3TCs are great engines, but if you're gonna stay naturally aspirated like I am, it takes a whole lot to make a little bit of power, and a lot of time, more importantly though, a lot of money. And you know, not all of us just have disposable income, and I kind of just thought the next best thing, the next easiest swap would be a 4AG. So I went down the rabbit hole of 4AGs, and I always kind of knew what 20 valves were, but I also know that they were just kind of, you know, JDM engines that, you know, they're kind of hard to get nowadays, and they're expensive, and you know, just there's other reasons why you would be hesitant about doing a motor swap. But this one hits a little differently for me because back in the day I had another Corolla. It was the same color, it was red, but it was a 4-door, and that car was originally an 80. It was an 83, originally with a 4AC. When I bought the car, it had a 16 valve 4AG. The first thing that I did was I took the engine out and I tried to put a 3TC in it, and at the time I was, you know, maybe 20 years old, didn't know anything. I thought it was gonna just be like, put it right in and it'd be done, and it wasn't. And long story short, it was too much of a project for what I could do at the time. So ended up selling the car, put the 4AG back in it, ended up selling the car, and you know, a few years went by and I acquired this, and it had a 3TC in it, and I was like, yep, this is everything I wanted. You know, I'm not gonna do anything to it. I'm gonna build the motor, put a cam in it, I'm gonna put some side drafts on it, and I'll be happy. The problem was I was never really happy with it because that tired 4AG that was in my 83 4-door felt more powerful to me. It felt peppier. It felt like it wanted to rev more, which ultimately those motors are designed to do compared to a 3TC. So it was a no-brainer to go to a 4AG for me. And with the technology, with the 20 valve head and the airflow and just how these engines perform stock, I thought to myself I could spend a few $1,000s doing this swap, buying the engine management, you know, and or I could spend a couple $1,000s in building the 3TC, you know, 89 millimeter pistons, 12 to 1 compression, you know, the hills, big cam, ported head, and it would still make the same amount of power as a stock 4AG would, basically, you know, within reason, of course. And when you modify something that extensively, you lose reliability. And I want this car to be able to drive anywhere, go anywhere. Not that I'm going to, because as you can see, I have, you know, other cars. This is the project car, it's not the daily. But I just really missed my four-door, and this kind of brings it all full circle for me. My four-door had the same Celica Super wheels that's on this car now. It had the, like I said, the 16 valve 4AG. So this is me reliving my 20-year-old self with what little knowledge I've gained over the past 10 years or so. I'm super happy with the swap so far. I haven't driven it a whole lot yet. It still needs to be tuned, which I'll be doing shortly. Just rain and the alternator was giving me issues. It still is, but and it kind of came full circle, you know. Like I was talking earlier with the 3T, I was never satisfied. It went from automatic bone stock 3TC. I put a 3236 on it. Then I put a dual side drafts on it. Then I took the motor out, freshened it up, put a cam, ported the head, dual valve springs. Ran it like that for a while with dual side drafts. Then I went to a 38 Weber. Then I was like, you know what? Screw carburetors, I'm gonna EFI this car. So I Haltech Elite 550, made my own harness, bought ITBs, injectors, the whole 9 yards. Went through that whole rigmarole, coil on plug conversion, and the car ran great, but it still just wasn't it for me. Which is why I lean more towards the 4AG. And then I acquired the silver top, and you know, I changed cross member, changed steering rack, converted the car to rack and pinion, and did all of that to support the 4AG. And funny story, the cross member and the steering column are from my old four-door. That car got sold, it got driven around for a bit, it got stolen, it got recovered, it ended up, long story short, dying a slow, painful death and got parted out. Which is kind of a bummer for me. That was my first old Toyota. But I mean, it is what it is. You know, the car wasn't perfect. It had its fair share of rot in certain areas. Overall, the car was super solid. But you know, every car has its flaws. So, a buddy of mine just had it in his yard where he was staying, the car, and I was like, dude, that's my old car. But they took the struts off of it and this and that, and you know, and I was happy and I was stoked that I was able to get the cross member because I needed one for the swap. But it felt just that much better to me that it was from my old four-door, and it's a little bit of my old car lives on with this car now. So with that being said, this is its final iteration of what this car will be. I'm gonna take it to the dyno eventually. I haven't gotten to it yet. Like I said, the alternator is giving me some issues right now. But when I do, whatever the power it makes, it'll make. I'm not gonna take this engine out and put a beams in it or a 1UZ or a 2J or anything like that. It's gonna stay NA. I absolutely love the sound of the induction noise from the throttle bodies and the velocity stacks. That's 90% of the reason I put carburetors on the 3T back in the day. And believe it or not, my 4AG and my 4-door had dual 40 side draft Webers on there. Kind of a chopped up homemade intake. It wasn't the most spectacular thing at the time, but for me it was like awesome, and this car kind of represents all of that, and I'm happy with it. This is the most stoked that I've probably been with this car since I bought it, and all the iterations that it saw. It's seen its fair share of different wheels. It's seen engine combinations now with this new engine in there. It's got 3 different sets of carburetors, fuel injection. It's had a long journey, and I'm super stoked with it. To say that I spent too much money doing all of that is an understatement, but that's part of it, that's every car guy's thing. But yeah, it's coming along real nice. Once I get the alternator figured out, it'll be good, and I can drive it all around, and that's my goal, is to finally enjoy this car like I should have been over the past few years of owning it. The car was apart as much as it was together, but with the times that it was together, it was always, it's kind of rainy today, or I don't know, I'm tired of doing that. I want to drive this thing. I want to enjoy this thing. I want to do questionable things that the car probably shouldn't be doing sometimes. But I mean, that's just all part of it, So yeah, that's where we are with the car. Like I said earlier, I just kind of wanted to post something to kind of connect with you guys, and hopefully gain some followers or subscribers or whatever you want to call it. That'd be cool too. But if not, I kind of wanted to just put my story out there, because I got the questions by a few people, and it's like, well, why are you gonna put a smaller engine in your car and expect it to go faster? Technology's there with the engine. There's so much aftermarket support for these 4AGs, pretty much everywhere. And I've stumbled across quite a few really good people along the way that pointed me in the right direction, like, hey, you need this, and that, and they were right 100%, and it's something different here. 20 valve swaps have been done over and over and over again over the past, I don't know, 10, 15 years, maybe even longer than that, who knows. But it's different here. I'm not gonna say one of a kind, because it's far from it, but it's different. It's not something that anybody else is running here. It's not something that has been done per se here a lot anyway. I'm sure there's other cars, in Hawaii that have 20 valves in them, or had 20 valves in them. I'm no way the first or trying to start a new trend. That's not it at all. My goal and how I see this car is, I always kind of want it to be a little different. Like, I love Corollas. I really do. It's the style that I like is not necessarily the most popular where I live, and 90% of the other Corollas here are all really fast, and they either got turbo 3Ts or rotaries, and I love all of that. They drag race, they pop wheelies, they run 11s, 10s, 9s, carbureted EFI, and like every combination, 1J, 2J cars, eights even, tickling on 8 second passes, and that's freaking awesome. Like, I love watching that stuff. I love being around that stuff. The passion that I have for that is there, but I don't see myself doing that necessarily, not to that level, not to that extent. I've drag raced the car before. It went super slow. It was like a 16.8 at 80 miles an hour on stock tire, like street tires, and the T50 and 3T with a cam and springs and mild port job and fuel injection, which is by far not impressive at all. But I wanted a baseline to see how the car was compared to what the car is now with the 20 valve, and see what this thing can ultimately do. I'm not expecting a whole lot. If I can run a 15.999, I'd be the happiest guy alive, trust me. But that's not what the car's built for. It's got wide tires, it's got camber in the front, it's got, drop springs, it doesn't have drag adjustable suspension, it doesn't have skinny front tires. Like I said, I love that stuff, but it's not necessarily my thing. For me, if I'm gonna spend money on it, I'm gonna make it how I want to make it, and that's exactly what this car is. And I'm really happy how it turned out so far. There's a few things that obviously every car guy is gonna want to do. He's gonna want to change this or do that or add this or different wheels or fix or change the suspension or whatever. That stuff it's never gonna stop. Let's be honest. But in all intents and purposes, this is what I wanted, and I just kind of wanted to share that story with you guys. I don't know how long this video is going to be. It's probably going to be pretty boring because I'm just talking. But if you have any questions on the swap and you're watching, comment. I'll try and point you in the direction as best as possible. That was the intent with this whole YouTube thing. Yeah, everybody wants to make money off of YouTube. That'd be awesome, but that's not what I was expecting. Is more so if I could help that one person figure one thing out, or how did you do this, or how did you do that, and if I can point someone in the right direction, I will. If they want to do something that's been done for the past 15 years, because scrolling through old forums and stuff, I've only got me so far. I've spent hours and hours and hours doing all of that, but I still had questions at the end of the day. Not everything was on there, but it runs. I posted a couple shorts with the exhaust and it's starting, and it runs pretty good. I mean, I took this motor apart to absolutely nothing and put it all back together, stock rebuild, rings, bearings, gaskets everywhere. Took the head to the machine shop and just resurfaced stock valves, stock springs, stock cam gears. This is 100% a bone stock silver top. But we'll see what the header does, what the velocity stacks do, what the ability to actually tune will do with the coil unplug, and see what we can get out of it. Realistic goal, if I can make 125, 132 wheel, I'd be super stoked. I think that's achievable. We're gonna find out though, and when I do eventually go to the dyno, I will try and put a video together of all of that. But until then,